What's up guys, this is impaKt and I'm finally delivering another champion guide, and this time, you guessed it, I'm going to be talking about Braum. You're welcome. So let's try to make this as informational and as boring as humanly possible while we're at it, shall we? Skill list. His passive is concussive blows. Such a great passive, guys. When you attack a target or use your Winter's Bite on him, you'll apply a stack of concussive blows. For around 5 seconds, your autos or your allies' autos will further increase the stack count on that specific target. When the count reaches 4, the passive will deal some magic damage and will be stunned for the same duration as Annie's stun, from 1.25 to 1.75 seconds, depending on champion level. It is also what makes Braum lane so hard to gank. It provides engage and disengage potential, and it can turn ganks around insanely well. It also makes it so that Braum needs to be coordinated with his AD carry for him to be effective at all. When the stun is procced, the target cannot be marked again for a small amount of time, around 7 to 8 seconds. Winter's Bite is your standard skill shot. The first target will be damaged and slowed for 70%, decaying over time, and it will proc a stack of your passive. It is the only skill in Braum's kit that procs a stack of his passive, other than his basic attacks, that is. It is your main and only poke source in lane. You can use it to poke, peel, or even to make your enemies go back in fear of the stun. If you're marked by Braum, you need to account for the follow-up stun because it's definitely a threat. Stand Behind Me is one of the reasons why Braum is so versatile. It is somewhat like Lee Sin's Safeguard. You use it on a champion and both you and him will gain increased armor and magic resistance for 3 seconds. It helps you jump in and out of a team fight. It helps you move from backline to frontline and vice versa, and it helps you dive. It helps you position for the follow-up and breakable, and it is the reason why Braum can be so flashy. Braum doesn't have gap closers, but he does shine when allied to mobile champions because of his W. His E is unbreakable. It is like Yasuo's wall, and yet it's not like Yasuo's wall. It will negate the damage from only the first attack from the shield's direction, and it will reduce the damage of all subsequent attacks for as long as the skill is active. The shield also intercepts projectiles, and it makes them hit him and then get destroyed. He also gets a 10% movement speed increase when the shield is active. This is insanely good against high-range AD carries in mid and late game fights, for instance. You can protect your AD carry just by standing between him and the enemy AD carry, and even if he's being targeted, you will get damaged because the shield will intercept the projectiles. It also helps when playing against Nami's ultimate or any other long-ranged engaging mechanisms. However, it will not prevent you from being affected by those same skills, so you will still get binded or hooked if our Morgana, Blitzcrank, Thresh, or even Leona target you with her skills. His ultimate is Glacial Fissure. It is a skill shot that will knock up enemies in front of him and slow them down if they remain in the ultimate area. It is a great skill for engaging and disengaging, and it is also a great way of separating backline from frontline completely, somewhat like the effect a Rumble ult has. However, if your enemies have flash or even escapes, it is easy to dodge, so make sure you use this ability when you know your opponents cannot escape it, like from the Fog of War. Its range isn't as big as Nami's ultimate, so you may also need a couple of games to get used to it. Let's go through Braum's pros. When you talk about Braum, one of the first things that come to mind is his shield strength, unbreakable. It also helps you block skill shots like Ezreal's Jinx or even Draven's ultimate. It allows you to block nearly spears, Nami's ultimate. I mean, the amount of stuff that you can protect your AD carry and your team from with his skill alone is just insane. Nope, I don't think he's that great against poke-comps because they usually just keep spamming skills and you can only block so much for so long, but it does give you a small breathing space while someone else positions for engage, for instance. Winter's Bite is your main damage ability, and its damage scales off maximum HP, so that's the main stat to go for if you're looking for that extra damage. It also grants some pretty significant poke in lane, and it can be used rather often. As soon as you get your Sightstone, your lane presence gets a significant boost as well. Your W helps tower diving insanely well because it actually increases your allies' armor, magic resistance, as well as your own. And yes, you can use it on yourself as well. While Braum doesn't have any gap closures per se, if one of your teammates has a mechanism like that, you should take advantage of it by using Stand Behind Me to position yourself for the Q and follow up passive stun, or even Glacial Fissure, your ultimate. He also deals insanely well against ganks. Even if you don't have your ultimate, ganking a Braum lane is just ridiculously hard unless all of the 3 members move in unison. If a single member, say the jungler, stays further ahead, he's instantly stunned and will probably die early game due to the low early game stats that junglers usually have, and because of the increased damage he'll get from Braum's passive. Glacial Fissure is a great initiation and disengaging mechanism, which makes Braum really versatile and able to fit in almost every single team comp. As for cons, however, let's start with level 1. He has absolutely no wave clear, which makes Relic Shield an absolute must-have. If you get Relic Shield at level 1, you'll be able to almost instantly kill 2 lane creeps, helping your AD carry push the lane. Still, he does struggle in that regard. It is not hard to push a Braum under his own turret. Winter's Bite may not be that easy to hit. Position is absolutely key when trying to land your poke. It is also the only way you have of proccing your passive onto an enemy at safe range. None of his skills are hard to dodge, none of them have ridiculously fast missile speed, and none of them really have short animations. Braum is absolutely dependent on his lane partner as well. If you're playing solo queue and if you don't trust the AD carry that's going to the bottom lane with you, I probably wouldn't recommend picking Braum up. You won't be able to proc your passive unless you trust your carry and he trusts you. If you don't use your passive to its full potential, you probably won't get out of the laning phase. He does not have his own gap closer, which once again does hurt him in the laning phase against mobile champions, and he is easily kiteable if your team does not have any gap closers that you can follow up with Stand Behind Me. With that out of the way, the runes that I've been going for consist of a weird mix between armor, HP, and magic resistance. I get 6 flat HP seals and 3 flat HP quints for early game tankiness, as well as Winter Bite's damage. I also get 3 flat armor seals and 9 flat armor marks for increased armor in lane, as well as increased stats when I use Stand Behind Me. And I get 3 flat magic resist glyphs and 6 scaling magic resist glyphs as well. For masteries, I always go for 0-30-0. You may argue that movement speed is crucial on Braum, and increased skill is also good, and I agree. However, the tankier you are, the more useful you get. Your W scales off your resistances, your Q scales off HP, and you want to be alive as long as possible so you can keep being useful to your team. As for summoner spells, I don't think Ignite is really mandatory because he usually doesn't have a lot of kill potential in lane unless he's allied to Illusion or a Twitch. Exhaust is usually the way to go. It helps you protect your AD carry, it helps you secure kills when need be, and it also synergizes incredibly well with your kit in general. It helps you with your sticking power. As for the second summoner spell, Flash is the way to go, unless you're playing Braum as a top laner, in which case, Gus shouldn't be so bad. Let's talk skill order. The only skill that really gives you any presence in lane other than your passive is Winter's Bite. It is your only source of damage in poke, and you want to be as relevant during the early game as possible, so I max it first. I max W second for the increased armor and magic resist buff, and E last. I'm not mentioning Glacial Fissure here because you should obviously get it at level 6, 11, and 16. Starting items. As I said, Relic Shield is pretty much mandatory. Durant Shield can be good, but it doesn't help you with the early game. You absolutely need to help your AD carry push a level 1, so I do believe it is a must-have. Go 3 HP pots or even 2 HP pots in 1 mana pot and get a Warding Totem. After that, you want to look for Sidestone, Face of the Mountain, and swap your Trinket for a Sweeping Lens. As for boots, Ionian Boots of Lucidity are a very good choice, just like the Mercury Threads and even Mobility Boots if you want to go for the roams. And then, let's talk about realistic purchases. Locket of the Iron Solari and Randwind Zoman are absolutely awesome. They give you HP, resistances, so everything works well for him. Banshee's Veil and Frozen Heart are also really good pickups. However, and here's the funny part, I find Warmogs and Frozen Mallet insanely good on this guy if you want to be just downright unkillable, and if you want that little extra damage. If you're looking for a way to deal more damage, then Liandry's is actually not that bad. It gives you HP, magic penetration, to proc on your Q, as well as some AP that is only useful for a slight increase in damage with your ult. But to be honest, I wouldn't really pick it up. As for Gauntlet, it is good, but way too expensive for a support item, just like the Warmogs and Frozen Mallet, to be honest. It is indeed a shame. So what works well with Braum? High mobility comps, that is for freaking sure. Once again, Braum doesn't have his own gap closer, but he can take advantage of other people's blinks, and that is what I like to have in lane with me as well. AD carries with gap closers or escapes and attack speed storage to help you proc your passive faster. So I do think Twitch and Lucian are the absolute best, yes. Twitch gets to the lane while stealth, you just jump on him and wreak havoc on the enemy bottom lane. Easy peasy. Caitlyn, Tristana, and Kog'Maw should also be good picks with him. Or Jace. Jace should be fun. Right? So what counters Braum? Well, he doesn't have gap closers, and he doesn't have sustain, so Morgana, Karma, and Zyra should be good supports to pick up against him. High mobility and high range AD carries should also be a pain to withstand, so I wouldn't recommend picking him up against Caitlyn, Lucian, or even Sivir. And finally, Let's go through his playstyle during the laning phase because I'm guessing it's what most people will struggle with. Before you hit level 6, Braum isn't that strong. He doesn't have the engaging potential of a typical kill lane, and he doesn't have the damage of a poke lane. He doesn't have a lot of pushing power either, so he can easily be pushed under his own turret. Make sure you use your relic shield to help your AD carry push the lane, and save your follow-up stacks for the cannon minions. Not just for your gold income, but to keep the lane as pushed and as free of minions as possible, because you'll need to hit your Qs to deal some damage and to allow your AD carry to get good trades. Most of his laning phase is about bush control, hitting Qs or even doubling onto minions so you can position better for that follow-up in Winter's Bite. Just be careful about his mana though. If you reach level 6 with the advantage, then you're already doing an awesome job. As soon as you hit level 6, you'll enter what we usually call a power spike. Your ultimate will now allow you to properly engage onto enemies, and with your kit made whole, you will now be a force to be reckoned with. You can easily force your enemies to burn summoner spells by using your ult, or even downright killing them. Doubling onto a minion to land your Q is now even more important, and if you're playing with an AD carry with an escape, you can even let him jump in, follow up on him, protect him from damage, and follow it all up with your ult. If your carry has good early game damage, you should be set to go. As soon as you hit your ult, you're also pretty much ready to enter the mid game. And this is where Braum actually shines. Make sure you analyze your team as well as the enemy team. Figure out what you need to do in team fights in order to be effective, and build accordingly as well. This guy is just insanely versatile, and you can totally change fights around if you use his kit correctly. Now that was a freaking long guide. Now I remember why I didn't go for any of these in a long time. Oh well, worth. Hope it's helpful, peeps. Hope you guys enjoy the new champion, and make sure to make a few montage videos and send those over to me if you like. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you still haven't done so. Facebook and Twitter are the pages to go to if you want to get in touch with me, and don't forget to follow me on Twitch for some awesome music, gameplay, and sometimes giveaways. Peace out, guys. Have an awesome day.